let's recite the Mangalacharan together. Do we have Mangalacharan type here? First. Or we can just give him one of Bhagavad Gita's, and in the front is there. Introduction, when the Mangalacharan is there in the introduction. ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः तदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीसुरं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणा रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये। नष्टकायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भवति उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So when we recite this Mangalacharya, it's very important that we understand what we are reciting, because Mangalacharya is very, very powerful. We acknowledge our existence, that we were born in the darkest of ignorance. And then the spiritual master, he opened our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Otherwise, in this day, modern day, everyone thinks, okay, I've got Google, I've got information, so, I don't need anyone else. But actually, no. We all need a guru, we all need a spiritual master. And that's why many times, even when we recite these Mangalacharya on a daily basis, it tends to be mechanical. But we should understand, actually, when we meditate on these words, then we can see that, yes, I need a guru. And who is that guru? Someone like Prabhupada, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Brahma. So one who has opened my my eyes, which is, I was born in darkness of ignorance, and he has opened my eyes with the transcendental torch of knowledge. Shalakaya. Shalakaya means, Shalaka, you know what the meaning of Shalaka? Shalaka means one with which you actually put the anjan, the ointment. It's called Shalaka. So spiritual master opens our eyes with that ointment. So let's continue with our discussion on Srīmad Bhāgavatam. Canto 1, the creation, chapter 12, birth of Emperor Parīkṣit, and verse number 22 today. So please repeat after me. Mrigendra eva vikranto Nishevyo himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevasu Sahishnuhu Pitaraviva Mrigendra eva Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnuhu Pitaraviva Mrigendra eva Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnuhu Pitaraviva Mrigendra eva Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnu Pitaraviva Mrigendra eva Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnuhu Pitaraviva Mrigendra eva Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnuhu Pitaraviva. What word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please repeat after me. Mrigendra, the lion, Eva, like, Vikrantaha, powerful, Nishevya, worthy of taking shelter, Himavan, the Himalaya mountains, Eva, like, Titikshu, forbearance, Vasudha Eva, like the earth, Asav, the child, Sahishnuhu, tolerant, Pitaro, parents, Eva, like. Translation: this child will be as strong as a lion and as worthy a shelter as the Himalaya mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. Purport: one is compared to the lion when one is very strong in chasing an enemy. One should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. One should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. We'll try to understand what Prabhupada says by this. The lion never fails in the chase of an animal. Similarly, the head of the state should never fail in chasing an enemy. The Himalaya mountains are famous for all richness. There are innumerable caves to live in, numberless trees of good fruits to eat, good springs to drink water from, and profuse drugs and minerals to cure diseases. Any man who is not materially prosperous can take shelter of these great mountains, and he will be provided with everything required. Both the materialist and the spiritualist can take advantage of the great shelter of the Himalayas. On the surface of the earth, there are so many disturbances caused by the inhabitants. In the modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth, and still the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants like a mother who excuses a little child. Parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. An ideal king may be possessed of all these good qualities, and the child Parīkṣit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection. So here we can see the description of Parīkṣit Maharaj is being continued. So we know Bhāgavatam the basis of Bhagavatam is the first 6 questions asked by the sage of Naimisharanya. Now, Sukadeva Goswami and then Sutta Goswami has already answered these 6 questions, what's the beauty of a person, what's the beauty of a person dying, the incarnations of the Lord, his activities about Krishna, is mentioned. But then as we heard in one of the previous purports, Prabhupada says that when you speak about the Lord, we are never satiated. And we can see even in our lives, last year and a half, yes, we've been speaking every day. And as speakers also, we try to, actually meditate, okay, this is the verse, what are you going to speak about? And there's so much to speak about that, the time is always less. This is a very short purport. I thought I will do an exercise today that, I will give each one of you a couple of minutes and then you should write down what do you think are the main points from this word-to-word translation and purport, right? We'll come to that. So what happens is now the sages are asking 4 more questions, yeah? And these 4 questions are in the 4th chapter and in the 12th chapter here. So first question was, why, when and where was Srīmad Bhāgavatam compiled? So that's in the first Canto 4th chapter. Then, the second question is, how was Sukadeva Goswami viewed by everyone and how did this meeting with Parīkṣit Maharaj happen? Because Parīkṣit Maharaj is the king. He's got a curse and he's, coming on the bank of Ganga, and then Parīkṣit Maharaj is a wandering mendicant. So how did they meet? The third question and the 4th question are what we are studying now. How was Maharaj Parīkṣit born and what were his activities? So this is the first part of this third question, that how was Maharaj Parīkṣit born? So we saw that in the womb of Mother Uttara, Krishna himself saved Maharaj Parīkṣit. And the 4th question is, why did Maharaj Parīkṣit renounce everything and travel to the bank of the Ganga? So we have, this story will come again in this chapter and I think in the 15th chapter. So now, if you understand, just try to imagine that you are not coming from an Indian background. Yesterday we were speaking about names like Babruhana, right? Names like, what else? What other names were there? We find it difficult to pronounce. Chitragandha, yeah? Chitrangada, right? So we are finding them difficult to pronounce. So then, imagine if someone who's a non-Indian is trying to study Srīmad Bhāgavatam. What I want to do is highlight, what is being highlighted here are the qualities of a devotee in these verses. In all these verses, the qualities of a devotee is being highlighted. But we should actually think a little bit deeper, we should meditate a little bit deeper. Now, imagine when Prabhupada was translating this, what were his challenges? That he has to appeal to different audiences. Now, different audiences just doesn't mean that the language Prabhupada has to use has to be appealing to everyone. Yeah? Now, language doesn't mean just what I'm speaking in English. He means people, that's why I'm saying that if we do this exercise of trying to work out the important point from this purport, all of us will be here having different reflections. Am I correct? Yes. Yeah? Now Prabhupada has to appeal to non-devotees, to someone who's very neophyte like ourselves, and to someone who's a very advanced devotee. Yes? And then he has to write his purport. He has to translate and write his purport. So then Prabhupada's audience was very varied. Yeah? His listeners came from non-devotee to neophyte to advanced devotees. From progressive to conservatives, and also they were coming from different backgrounds. Now not only he has to write so that it appeals to people in this decade. Yes, here you speak to anyone about Spotify, about, reels and shorts and all that, people will understand. Okay, 50 years ago, no one knew what Spotify is. 20 years later on, no one will know what sound cloud is. It will be all gone. Yeah, but Prabhupada had to appeal to each and every one of us for the next, how many years? 10,000 years. So this is, you have to appreciate the genius of Prabhupada. That what he writes, and when we go deeper, and when we become progressive in our own spiritual life, we will actually understand that each and every word what Prabhupada has written has got so much significance for our spiritual life. What other challenge did Prabhupada have? That Prabhupada had to bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy into the modern times. It's not easy. Yeah? It's not easy, it's not popular also. And then he has to accommodate in terms of the audience. How do you do that? Yeah? Now 2 things he has to understand. That he doesn't want to water down the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the same time he has to appeal to everyone. Yes? At the same time, he has to be very careful that when these topics are discussed, right? Especially, before he started translating Bhagavatam, he was translating Bhagavatam, but in between, he wrote Krishna book. What is Krishna book? What is Krishna book? Okay, so it's a summary of 10th canto. Krishna book is the summary of the 10th canto. Right? So Prabhupada wanted to give Prabhupada thought that even if I leave this planet, even if they don't come to the 10th canto in Srimad Bhagavatam, the translation purport, at least they'll have Krishna book. So they'll have the pure nectar of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, in Dwarka, and in Mathura. So he then wrote Krishna book. But then again, the challenge was that in Krishna book, he did not want people to take the items like the topics like Ras Leela and all that very cheaply. So just imagine this now. Now I'm giving you the background here. When we read Srimad Bhagavatam in that context, that this is the genius of a devotee like Prabhupada, then we will understand, then we will try to focus, then we'll put in effort to see what every word, every translation and every purport means. Does it make sense? Yes? Does it actually have a light bulb moment? We never thought about these things like that. Now let's see, was he successful in doing it? And if you're successful, how did he do it? Yes, we know you're successful. Because, he's gone 50 years ago and he's still, thousands of lives are being changed. We are getting advantage here, and so many more people. Gita Jayanti is coming when we distribute 1,000 books of Bhagavad Gita. 1,000 more people, 1,000 more families might get the benefit. Yes, that's the whole purpose. That Prabhupada was successful in giving the highest truth to one and all for the next 10,000 years. So he's successful, yes. But then, how did he do it? Yeah, and we've discussed that a little bit. So Prabhupada, first of all, he didn't water down any of the teachings. Right? Second one was that he was very chaste also to the teachings. Yeah, he was very chaste to the teachings. And then, right from the beginning teachings in Bhagavad Gita. So what is the most beginning teaching in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, we are not the body with the spirit soul. Right till the end of Gopi Bhav, of Krishna taking part in the Ras Leela. And then after that also he's telling the gopis, Na parayaham, that I cannot repay the debt. Let more service for you be the compensation for you. Because if we are all giving our lives to Krishna, some things in the heart will tell, okay, what compensation am I going to get? What compensation am I going to get? Krishna says to the gopis that I cannot repay your debt. For whatever service you are doing, I cannot repay the debt. And he says, let this service be your compensation. So when we study Prabhupada's books, he's taking us from the most basic level to the most exalted level without watering down the teachings, and without, he's also restraining us to understand that let's not jump the gun, let's not jump too soon, let's not come to that conclusion that I'm an advanced devotee and I can take part in all these esoteric pastimes of Krishna. We can go slowly and steadily, we can study together, but one time has to come, which we will see at the end as to, when we progress in devotional service, what is my goal? Yeah? Is my goal going to be selfish or selfless? Chaitanya Prabhuji very nicely says, he doesn't like to use the word material and spiritual anymore. He says that's not accepted. He says, but if you use the terms selfless and selfish, everyone realizes, this selfish. And selfless also everyone realizes, when you want to give it to the society, that means it is selfless. So what our objective for progressing in spiritual life is it selfish or selfless? So let's ask a couple of devotees, what is the goal of our spiritual life? One will, ISKCON devotee will close the eyes and say,
having service of Krishna.
Okay, number one, what do you think? Okay, anyone else?
Selfless service.
Okay, selfless service. I'm looking for something which every devotee joins the movement for.
Have fun.
Going back?
Back to God.
Going back home?
Back to God.
Back to God. That's Prabhupada used to say that. Yes? So we'll come to that how, when we also progress in spiritual life, these goals also change. So, Parīkṣit Maharaj, we have discussed that he is born here. And in the previous verse, one of the verses, it's described that all these zodiac signs also were, in line, and they didn't sync, they were matching, so that a powerful personality like Parīkṣit Maharaj can appear. Prabhupada writes very beautifully in that purport. It's, I would recommend we should go through that purport once again. We have studied that purport just recently. 1, 12, 12. 1, 12, 12. If you go through, no, we are studying 22 now, but 1, 12, 12. So Prabhupada is describing in that purport the appearance of Maharaj Parīkṣit. And in the purport he says, the law of nature is so subtle that every part of our body is influenced by the respective stars. And a living being obtains his working body to fulfill his terms of imprisonment. To fulfill his terms of imprisonment by the manipulation of such astronomical influence. So we are trying to fulfill our terms of imprisonment. Yeah? A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time, constellation of stars, and a factual horoscope is made by a learned astrologer. It is a great science, and misuse of a science does not make it useless. Because many, we see yesterday, Virat Prabhu was mentioning that the last page of the newspapers are full of Indian astrologers, right? Because everyone wants to misuse it and make money out of that. But no, if you have a good astrologer, then they can, as they say, astrology means when you check someone's astrology, you are told, okay, this is going to be the situation at this time in your life. And I always remember one devotee told me, he says the best way you can deal with astrology is forewarned is forearmed. When you're given warning before, right? When we go on a 600 speed highway, and then suddenly his bend is going to come, then they say 80, 60. So you are given warning that the road is going to take a turn. So similarly, when we are looking at our astrology, when we know that there will be some difficult periods, right? So we are warned. And when we are warned with what's going to come, then we can arm ourselves. So we can take a little more care of ourselves in whatever way the difficulty is going to come. Of course, the best way to take care of ourselves is just be very strongly Krishna conscious. Then understand, okay, these things are going to happen. When everything is going good, we should ask question. Why? Is everything okay? Everything not, So when we are Krishna conscious, this is what it says, the astrology is forewarned is forearmed. Maharaj Parīkṣit or even the personality of Godhead appear in certain constellations of good stars, and thus the influence is exerted upon the body, thus born at an auspicious moment. So even when Krishna appears, even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, it was a eclipse, and it was a full moon night, and because of the eclipse, everyone was taking the Lord's names, everyone was bathing in the rivers, holy rivers, and Mahaprabhu appeared at that time. So he, even when Krishna appears, and even when the devotee appears, the charts are aligned properly. Maharaj Parīkṣit was not only a great Kshatriya emperor, but also a great devotee of the Lord. Thus he cannot take his birth at any inauspicious moment. And as a proper place and time is selected to receive a respectable personage, when someone is coming, especially for big occasions, especially in India when you go in holy places, even for personalities to appear, they've got fixed time, right? And when we are receiving these personalities, so similarly, to receive a personality like Parīkṣit Maharaj, all these stars were aligned. So this is coming from the previous verse where Maharaj Parīkṣit is going to appear, and then we are describing all his qualities. One of the things which Prabhupada says here very nicely says, one should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. What does that mean? One should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase.
Humble home, but be daring and outside.
For what? In front of your boss?
Or you lose your job. To achieve your goals, I guess.
Here Prabhupada says one should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase means we should be humble, as you said, in at our own places. But when we are going out to preach, we should be like a lion, chase. Shama Sundar Prabhu wrote this wonderful book called Chasing the Rhino. Chasing Rhino with the Swami. The book is called Chasing Rhino with the Swami. And if you read his book, he was not going to write the book, because he thought he's all the memories are gone, after such a long period. But then everyone was telling him, no, you should write the book, you should write the book. And then one time, he goes to one place, and then suddenly everything comes back to him and he starts writing. This is amazing, it's very, very miraculous. And if you read that book, it is such a phenomenal book, Chasing Rhino with the Swami. So what do you mean by chasing Rhino with the Swami? Prabhupada said that when a hunter goes, he gives an example, he wants to go for the biggest kill. So Prabhupada also, when he was asking for ideas for preaching, he will ask every devotee, and he will say, okay, what do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? And then after receiving replies from everyone, he will choose the biggest. He will choose the hardest. So this is what we call, one should be a lamb at home and lion in the chase. And then Prabhupada mentions about Parīkṣit Maharaj here, that Parīkṣit Maharaj he never failed in the chase of an animal, as we see in the case of Parīkṣit Maharaj chastising Kali. It will come now, that when Kali is appearing, Parīkṣit Maharaj is chastising him, he's almost going to kill him. But then Kali takes shelter of Parīkṣit Maharaj and he's saved like that. Then Prabhupada speaks about the shelter of Himalaya mountains. As we know, Prabhupada speaks about someone who is materially impoverished or someone who is materially opulent also. So both ways you can take shelter of the Himalaya mountains. And then Prabhupada says that he is forbearing like the earth. And Prabhupada gives an example of how the modern people, they are just detonating atomic weapons and disturbing the earth. In which other way are we actually forcing the earth to lose its balance? Can you think of something which we use every day? And we are guilty to be a part of that mission.
Detonating the rocks to build homes.
There you go, one of them. What else?
Cutting the trees.
One of them, yes.
Plastic. Using plastic.
Sorry?
Using plastic.
Using plastic, yes.
Drinking money.
What about oil?
Driving cars.
Yes. Harekrishna, please come, Prabhu. Gautam. So, this way, we can see that Mother Earth is being disturbed all the time. But what does Prabhupada say here? That in the modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth, and still the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants like a mother who excuses a little child. Imagine if Mother Earth has to revolt against us. What's going to happen? One earthquake and we are finished. Yeah, but Mother Earth doesn't do that. Yes? So Prabhupada gives an example of Maharaj Parīkṣit as a ruler also. He was going to be very forbearing, very tolerant. But again, this discrimination we have to have, in spiritual life, discrimination is very, very important. When we speak of Krishna consciousness, not that, anything goes, no. We have to really understand, context is actually very, very important in our life. Because if we don't apply a situation, or we don't apply context, then we can be just, thinking that we are doing devotional service, but sometimes, it might not be that productive. Even when we speak of consciousness, even smaller service is what we do. For example, in the beginning, when we used to close the curtains of the deities, right? When you open the closed curtains, you have to always ring the bell, right? Especially here, when we open the curtains, when the curtains are drawn, our focus should be, yes, are the curtains drawn properly? Otherwise, sometimes, because you are doing something else inside, the focus is not on the curtains, and then the curtains are not properly closed. Yeah? When we are cooking, anything what we do, consciousness means that we should be doing that particular service with proper attention. Otherwise, we can do many, many things, but everything will be, not properly done. Yeah. So here, Prabhupada speaks about the parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. An ideal king may be possessed of all these qualities, good qualities, and the child Parīkṣit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection. So he is forbearing like the earth, and he is going to be tolerant as his parents. We know that parents have to be tolerant. Parents means tolerant. Grihastha life actually means tolerance. There's no other way. Grihastha life means tolerance. That quality has to come. That quality, must come. In modern times, that's not there. Yesterday we were speaking that, we were having a conversation and someone was saying that nowadays, especially in the affluent section of society in India, the parents are proud to tell the girls' father parents are proud to tell the boys' parents that because we have raised our princess with so much love that she doesn't know how to cook. So that's what the modern parents are like. Because they themselves are not trained. So first of all, we have to get trained. Many times when people come to us and speak about, can you please help my children to become Krishna conscious? I say, first you become Krishna conscious. Then you have to expect your children to be Krishna conscious. If we are not Krishna conscious, if we do not understand what Prabhupada asks us to do, we cannot expect the children to become like that. So when we say that, yes, the Parīkṣit Maharaj was as tolerant as his parents, yes, we have to understand, as parents also we have to develop these qualities. So now let's do one exercise. This is a purport. If everyone can write down, I'll give you 1 minute to read, and write down 1 or 2 most important points you find from synonyms, from translation and purport. 1:12:22. ready?
Yes, Prabhu. So,
You speak loud.
so I wrote down 3 points
Mhm.
and 3 words.
Mhm.
So powerful and protective,
Mhm.
worthy of taking shelter,
Mhm.
so as a provider, and tolerant as in forgiving.
Okay. So powerful, protective, worthy of taking shelter.
Yes, Prabhu. Protection
Mhm.
and providing
Mhm.
and forgiving.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mother. Anyone else?
The devotee should be very subdued at home, and very aggressive outside.
Yes, in preaching. Aggressive means in preaching, not otherwise, it will be misinterpreted easily. Aggressive in preaching, yeah.
And then the earth is very tolerant
Mhm.
towards all the misdeeds which
Mhm.
humans are doing, and that's the big things.
Yes. Prabhupada, he told my spiritual master, he says, preach boldly and have faith in the holy name. He said, preach boldly. That means you have to go out and preach to everyone boldly, and have faith in the holy name. Yes, it's very important if you understand that, if you have the faith in the holy name, for us to preach boldly is easy also. He says, preach boldly, so you have to show the courage. Prabhupada also used to use one very, there was a poet, his name was Madhusudan Datta, and Prabhupada used to quote him. So he was a poet, he was a very rich person. He came to England, and he was rich, a poet, but very extravagant. So he spent all the money to such an extent that he didn't have any money even to survive. So he was asking for money from everyone. Just imagine this. Many years ago, many decades ago, you were in England, and you would ask for money from people. And he met one person, you might have heard the name, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was thinking, he's a very famous man, should I help him, whether he'll pay me or not? He said, doesn't matter whether he pays me or not, but I will give him some money to help. And when Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar gave Madhusudan Datta some money to survive, so because Madhusudan Datta was a poet, he told Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he says, you have the heart of a Bengali mother and the courage of an Englishman. He says, you have a heart of a Bengali mother and the courage of an Englishman. So Prabhupada used to use it very often. Because for preaching also, within our devotee community, we have to have heart of a Bengali mother. Yeah, our Jayadata Maharaj, he says that ISKCON needs many grandmothers. Because grandmothers always are giving, always affectionate. Prabhupada says, for us, we should be having heart of a Bengali mother, but courage of an Englishman. What did Englishmen do in those days? Go out, explore and conquer. They had the courage. And because they were the courageous community, they could conquer almost the entire world. Rule over them for many, many decades, many centuries. So Prabhupada used to say that. So here, Prabhupada says that we should be like a lamb and a lion. A lamb in the house, but a lion, in any chase. We do not give up. Yeah. So similarly, Prabhupada used to use this phrase very often, that we should have the heart of a Bengali mother and courage of an Englishman. Okay, anyone else? Aditya?
I've got Miss Sevia. One should be worthy of taking shelter, similar to Earth and Himalayas. And Vikranta, be like a lion. So what I've written is, be fearless, like the soldiers when preaching.
Yes.
Going out.
Yes.
Right.
Anyone else?
I just got the point. Never falls in when we are chasing an animal. Like
Never?
never fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
never fail, yeah?
Never fail.
Yeah.
If you're outside preaching or anything, if something goes wrong also, we should not be like, we should be still keep trying it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I like that sentence.
Yes, yes. In the 9th canto, when Durvasa Muni is being chased by the Sudarshan Chakra, he is offended Amrish Maharaj, and he goes to Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu is telling him that the most important thing which I like in my devotees is that even if they fall down, they rise again. And when they rise again, I pick them up. So our journey is not going to be like this. Our journey is going to be like this, but the trajectory must be upwards. So he always gives the example of a Sherpa. A Sherpa, when he is climbing up the mountain, he is climbing up Mount Everest. So his focus is where? At the peak of the mountain. So our focus is going back home, back to Godhead. Yeah? But he is also very much aware of the obstacles which are coming on the way. Big rocks, the troughs, the valleys, and any other danger. So even though the eyesight is on the peak, the same way for us, yes, we want to, please Prabhupada by spreading this mission everywhere, but at the same time we should be aware of what dangers are around us. So this is where we use our discrimination. So this is where we see, when we are studying these verses, if you study the same verse after 5, 7, 10 years, right? When you have, actually you've done a lot of programs, when you've given a lot of classes, when you've distributed a lot of books on the streets, when you've done a lot of harinams, this whole thing will have a very different meaning. This whole thing will have a very different meaning. Yeah? Okay, any questions or comments?
Also, when you are rich or poor.
Sorry, bro?
Also, when you are rich or poor, you suffer from these disturbances. So the only way is to take shelter of Krishna.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, whether, you are in whatever situation you are in, the only way is to take shelter of Krishna. Yes. Thank you, bro. So we move on to the next verse, 1:12:23. Pitamaha samah samye prasade girishopamaha ashrayah sarvabhutanam yatha devo ramashayah pitamaha samah samye prasade girishopamaha आश्रयः सर्वभूतानां यथा देवो रमाश्रयः. Anyone wants to recite the verse? पितामहः समः साम्ये प्रसादे गिरिशोपमः आश्रयः सर्वभूतानां यथा देवो रमाश्रयः. पितामहः समः साम्ये प्रसादे गिरिशोपमः आश्रयः सर्वभूतानां यथा देवो रमाश्रयः. Word to word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pitamaha, the grandfather of Brahma, Samaha, equally good, Samya, in the matter, Prasade, in charity or in munificence, Girisha, Lord Shiva, Upamaha, not this Upama we are having today, comparison of equilibrium, Ashrayaha, resort, Sarva, all, Bhutanam, of the living beings, Yatha, as Devaha, the Supreme Lord, Rama Ashrayaha, the personality of Godhead. This child will be like his grandfather Yudhishthir or Brahma in equanimity of mind. He will be munificent like the Lord of the Kailash hill, Shiva, and he will be the resort of everyone like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is even the shelter of the goddess of fortune. So the qualities of Parīkṣit Maharaj are being continued here. You can see such a wonderful devotee, and this is the beauty of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. This is the beauty of Kirtaniya Sadahari. When we, constantly, continuously study Srīmad Bhāgavatam, then something will definitely get into our stone-like hearts. In my case, it's definitely I'm just praying that when we constantly studying and speaking and preparing and meditating, something will go in my heart. So these qualities are again being described, that Parīkṣit Maharaj will be like Yudhishthira or Brahma in equanimity of mind. Interestingly, in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna starts speaking, he says, okay, yes, you are the soul, you are not the body, blah, 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 and all that. First thing he speaks about is equanimity of mind. And the first thing also there he says that this is the path to liberation. Before that is not spoken about any of the rewards, what we will get when we are pursuing this path. The first time when he speaks, yes, first thing is we need equanimity of mind. And yesterday, Viraj Krishna very nicely, he spoke on those 20 verses of Sthita Prajna. These are called Sthita Prajna verses, where he spoke about how we can actually become, equipoised. But mental equanimity refers both to Maharaj Yudhishthira and to Brahma, the grandfather of all living beings. According to Sridhar Swami, the grandfather referred to is Brahma, but according to Vishwanath Chakravarti, the grandfather is Maharaj Yudhishthira himself. But in both cases, the comparison is equally good because both of them are recognized representatives of the Supreme Lord. And thus both of them have to maintain mental equanimity, being engaged in welfare work for the living being. Any responsible executive agent at the top of administration has to tolerate different types of onslaughts from the very persons for whom he works. Brahmaji was criticized even by the gopis, the highest perfectional devotees of the Lord. The gopis were dissatisfied with the work of Brahmaji because Lord Brahma, as creator of this particular universe, created eyelids which obstructed their seeing Lord Krishna. They could not tolerate a moment's blinking of the eyes, for it kept them from seeing the beloved Lord Krishna. So what to speak of others, who are naturally very critical of every action of a responsible man. Similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthira had to cross over many difficult situations created by his enemies, and he proved to be the most perfect maintainer of mental equanimity in all critical circumstances. Therefore, the example of both grandfathers for maintaining equanimity of mind is quite fitting. There's a very beautiful verse in Gopi Geet. Atatiya pava ahani kananam truti yugayate tvama paschyata kutila kuntalam srimukham chate jadam dikshatam paksham drisham. So gopis are singing very beautifully, and this is the verse which Prabhupada is referring to here. That the gopis are saying, Atati yad bhavan ahani kananam. That means Krishna, when you go to Kanan, Kanan means the forest. When you go to a forest to herd the cows, we actually lose our lives. Atati yad bhavan ahani kananam. Truti yugayate. Truti means, Truti is translated as 1/1700th of a second. How much? 1/1700th of a second. Truti yugayate. So what do the gopis say?
It will be like
One yuga. Why? Because even when I blink for 1/1700th of a moment, it is like a yuga. Why? Because when I blink, I cannot see Krishna at that time. Now just think, this is the law of the gopis. And Prabhupada says that even at that level, what they are calling Brahma is, for us, He's created everything perfect. Sarga, Visarga, Sarga is Krishna's creation, everything is perfect, definitely. Even Visarga is perfect. Visarga means secondary creation by Brahma. Even that is perfect. But even there, Prabhupada says that even at that level, Prabhupada says beautifully here, any responsible executive agent at the top of administration, he's using the corporate language here, yeah. Any responsible executive agent at the top of administration has to tolerate different types of onslaughts from the very persons for whom he works. So we get, whatever best we do, still the boss is never happy. Yeah. So here the gopis are saying that, and what words they are using? He says, Jada udikshata. You are a Jada, you are a foolish creator. Why? Because we cannot see Krishna for a moment when we blink our eyelids. So why did you create such a body where we have to blink? So Prabhupada says here, yes, Brahma has to tolerate these onslaughts, these insults. And same thing Yudhishthira Maharaj. When Yudhishthira Maharaj was about to start gambling, he got chastisement from his younger brothers. That's why. Even during when the gambling was going on, Bhima and Arjuna were so angry. Nakul, Sahadeva were just containing their anger because they were the youngest. And you can see Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's just keeping everyone calm. So many cases you can see Yudhishthira Maharaj is very patient, very tolerant. Again, when he was doing Rajasuya Yajna, he's tolerant because Shishupal is, abusing Lord Krishna, his chief guest. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is still tolerating it. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is very much given an example of a very tolerant person, of someone who's got equanimity, equal vision. And that's why one of his names is Ajata Shatru. What is the meaning of Ajata Shatru? One who never had enemies. So even though Duryodhan considered Yudhishthira Maharaj as his enemy, Yudhishthira Maharaj never considered Duryodhan as his enemy. He always considered Duryodhan as his cousin. Yeah? Any questions or comments? Okay, someone wants to read the next paragraph, please.
Lord Shiva is a celebrated living God who awards gifts to beggars. His name is therefore Ashutosha, or the one who is pleased very easily. He is also called the Bhutanatha, or the Lord of the common folk, who are mainly attached to him because of his munificent gifts, even without consideration of the after effects. Ravana was very attached to Lord Shiva, and by easily pleasing him, Ravana became so powerful that he wanted to challenge the authority of Lord Rama. Of course, Ravana was never helped by Lord Shiva, who he fought with Rama. When he fought with Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Lord of Lord Shiva. To Prikasura, Lord Shiva awarded a benediction which was not only awkward but also disturbing. Prikasura became empowered by the grace of Lord Shiva to vanish anyone's head simply by touching it. Although this was awarded by Lord Shiva, the cunning fellow wanted to make an experiment of the power by touching the head of Lord Shiva. Thus, the Lord had to take shelter of Vishnu to save himself from trouble, and the Lord Vishnu, by his illusionary potency, asked Prakasura to make an experiment with his own head. The fellow did it and was finished himself, and so the world was saved from all sorts of trouble by such a cunning beggar of the demigods. The excellent point is that Lord Shiva never denies anyone any sort of gift. He therefore the most generous, although sometimes some kind of a mistake is made.
That's a beautiful purport Prabhupada is writing. And what language he is using? He's saying, the fellow did it and he was finished himself. So the world was saved from all sorts of trouble by such a cunning beggar of the demigods. Such a, very, very informal way of writing about Lord Shiva. Thank you for coming. So here we see about Lord Shiva. The best quality is very munificent. He just gives. He's not discriminating. That if I give him something, he'll misuse it. He's not worried. He just does things. That's why sometimes Vishnu and even Narad Muni, tells him, yeah, please, please just be a bit careful when you give benedictions. Don't just give benedictions just left, right, and center. So that's Lord Shiva, and Parīkṣit Maharaj is going to be like that. He's going to be very munificent because the king has to be munificent. The people can ask anything, and there are so many instances in our Shastras where even Karna, for example, his name was Danavir Karna. He was Danavir, he was so munificent. His name was Danavir Karna. So same way, Parīkṣit Maharaj also was very munificent, like Lord Shiva. Last paragraph, someone wants to read?
Brahma means the goddess of fortune, and a shelter is Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the maintainer of all living beings. There are innumerable living beings, not only on the surface of this planet, but also in all other hundreds of thousands of planets. All of them are provided with all necessities of life for the progressive march towards the end of self-realization. But on the path of sense-gratification, they are put into difficulty by the agency of Maya, the illusory energy, and so travel the path of a false plan of economic development. Such economic development is never successful because it is illusory. These men are always after the mercy of the illusory goddess of fortune, but they do not know that the goddess of fortune can live only under the protection of Vishnu. Without Vishnu, the goddess of fortune is an illusion. We should therefore seek the protection of Vishnu instead of directly seeking the protection of the goddess of fortune. Only Vishnu and the devotees of Vishnu can give protection to all. And because Maharaj Parīkṣit was himself protected by Vishnu, it was quite possible for him to give complete protection to all who wanted to live under his rule.
So here, he's speaking of, shelter of everyone, Lord Vishnu. So Parīkṣit Maharaj was going to be like that. So now when we made a point of our progress in devotional service. So when we understand, when we study about the devotees like this, we have studied the character of Kunti Maharani, studied the character of Bhishma Pitamaha, studied the character of Parīkṣit Maharaj, we are studying the character of Uttara, all the residents of Dwarka, residents of Hastinapur. So we get some impetus for us to progress in our spiritual lives. But as we discussed before, that we want to come to a stage of pure devotional service. Whether we might come or no, it doesn't matter, but at least we can try. And how we can try is by hearing. So when we have this aspiration, all our aspirations are generally with some motive. Yeah. So one time a disciple asked Prabhupada, he says, Prabhupada, I want to serve you life after life. Now generally you think that's such a nice request, such a nice prayer. And Prabhupada's reply came to him as a shock. Prabhupada said, don't make me come back for you. He says, don't make me come back for you. So even when we have some aspirations of devotional service, we should be very understanding that, yes, in the beginning I want to serve my spiritual master. And I want to get out of this material world by devotional service. As we know, Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, this world is like a outhouse, or this was like a toilet. We don't go there to stay there. We go there to finish our business and get out. So he said, we have to come to this world to finish our business of Krishna consciousness and get out from here. Yes, but then when we start practicing devotional service, we understand that on a higher level, we should realize the spiritual world, or even back to Godhead, is not some geographical location. It is the state of our consciousness. We know that when Prabhupada was healer, he was not in this, as we've heard many times, as Jesus said, you are in this world, but not of this world. So Prabhupada was, even though he was here, but he was in the spiritual world. So it is not a geographical location, but a consciousness. Rupa Goswami calls it Jivan Mukta Uchyate. So when you have no upadhi, Sarva Upadhi Virirmuktam, Tatparatvena Nirmalam, Rishikena Rishikesha, Sevan, what is the different word? Sorry. So he says Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means even though you are in this material body, but you are liberated like that. So this is what happens. But then even on a higher level, as some of you mentioned, that we want to go back to the spiritual world only if there's service for us there. Of course, everyone in the spiritual world is serving. But if that means that Krishna wants us to come back here and serve, we should be ready to do that. Again, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, I didn't want to come to this horrible place. But Krishna told me, you go, all you do is just write books and I will do everything else. So Prabhupada, he recounts his time with Krishna in the spiritual world. And then he says, well, I came here to do service. And similarly, many of our spiritual masters, they're saying that yes, I want to go there, where Prabhupada is there, I want to serve Prabhupada, wherever he is. So at the highest level, all we want is, Krishna, please serve, give me some service. And when we chant, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So all what we are doing is requesting Krishna, requesting Srimati Radharani, Srimati Radharani, oh Krishna, please accept me and please engage me in your service. So in the beginning, our motives can be whatever, it might be Kama Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, whatever it is. But we should always think, okay, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Any questions or comments?
Sorry, Prabhu, just it's a good question or not. So when we say that we go back to Godhead, so after going back to Godhead, is it possible for us to help others, to take them to Godhead?
You mean help others who are here or help others where?
Here. Say for example, like mother or sister, friends, who still they'll be here. I'm just imagining. So I'm with Krishna. Will we be able to help them to reach Krishna when we are there?
This can be answered in a few different angles. First of all, when you go back, the body relations are not there, not existing anymore, right? As we know from the case of the son of Chitraketu Maharaj. Yeah. So Chitraketu, he had everything, but he didn't have any child, right? And then the child was born, but his, the queen to whom the child was born, her co-queens actually, killed the child. The child died, right? And then Chitraketu was lamenting so much that he again called Angira Muni and Narada Rishi, says, I want my child back. What have you done? You gave me it because they told him before that your child will be the reason of your harsha shoka. He will be the harsha means happiness and shoka means lamentation. So your child will be the source of your happiness and the lamentation. So you got the child, happiness, but immediately gone. So lamentation. And the child comes back actually, for some time. And then Chitraketu says, my son, I am so pleased that you're back. So he looks at him and says, who are you? I'm your father. He says, which life are you talking about? But then Chaitanya Prabhu very nicely says that we cannot use that in our current relationships. That child, he had already finished his relationships here, right? But then when he came back, then he was asking this question. So we cannot, use that or misuse that and say that, if my, brother or father is alive, I cannot say which life. So we have to very much understand that. To answer your question, when we are becoming devotees, then people are also seeing by our behavior, by our example. So they take up to devotional service just by looking at us, how happy we are. So this way, of course, we can help them. And of course, we can help them by giving them the push of Krishna consciousness while they are here, giving them the books, giving them the understanding according to their level. Many times, again, we say, preaching is not, dumping of Krishna on someone. Compassion is not dumping of Krishna on someone. No. We have to understand at what level they are at and use their language to. Prabhupada is doing it. Purport after purport, translation after translation. Before you came actually, we spoke about how Prabhupada's translations and purports are appealing, and that's why he had to be very sure that he's, appealing to everyone, but appealing more to the sincere devotees. who are the sincere seekers. You know, many people read these books, many people get these books, but how many actually take advantage? So this is what we have to understand. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Yes, Madam?
It is said that if, one generation is Krishna conscious, so their forefathers, I don't know, 7 generations or something will become Krishna conscious.
Yeah, so Narasimha tells Prahlad Maharaj, because you are a pure devotee, you know, I think 7 or 21 generations before you and generations coming after you are already liberated.
So for whatever reason, if someone's mom is not Krishna conscious, but this person is Krishna conscious, will the mom also get that same benefit from the son?
They won't get the same benefit. They'll get some benefit, of course. You know, as we know, we have to try to become pure devotees. Because Krishna consciousness or being a devotee is from here to this level. You know, there are many, many levels. If we just come once to the temples, you see, Radhavanji ki jai. If you just come to the temple and, you know, give $100 donation and say, I'm a Krishna conscious devotee, you know, that's a different level of, you know, from someone to doing service, you know, on a regular basis. So, when we speak of Krishna consciousness like this, you know, we have to understand there are stages, various stages. That's why for us, we should understand, that's why Vishwanath Chakravarti also has given us the different stages, you know, from Adho Shraddha till Mahabhav. So, if you don't understand this, you'll be always on this level. That, you know, okay, if I'm a devotee like this, you know, then everyone will be benefited. There might be, yes, but we should try and understand that there are, you know, and this will come not by force. This will come not by force. But when we chant regularly, we chant nicely, we chant with, you know, sincere prayers of asking for service, and then Krishna gives service, you know, we take the service very nicely, we are conscious while doing service, you know, then slowly the progress happens, we understand these siddhantas, these sciences, and then it's easy for us to help others. Yeah? What do they say in the aeroplane? When the oxygen is less? No, put the oxygen on your first. Right? So we have to become Krishna conscious first and then try to help others. Yeah? Of course it can go concurrently. Okay, anyone else? So Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.